Welcome to Bible in a Year, Day 257. Today we read Daniel 4 through 6. King Nebuchadnezzar has another dream and seeks the interpretation from the Chaldean interpreters, but they again have nothing. He inquires of Daniel, and Daniel warns the king that he is not going to like the meaning. Basically, the mighty king Nebuchadnezzar's reign is going to be knocked down, and the king shall be banished to living among the beasts for 7 years. And Daniel advises the king. Chapter 4, verse 27. O king, let my counsel be acceptable to you. Break off your sins by practicing righteousness, and your iniquities by showing mercy to the oppressed, that there may perhaps be a lengthening of your prosperity. The king didn't heed the advice because just 12 months later, verse 33, the king was driven from among men and ate grass like an ox, and his body was wet with dew of heaven till his hair grew as long as eagle's feathers, and his nails were like birds' claws. At the end of the 7 years, we hear directly from the humbled king, verse 34. I, Nebuchadnezzar, lift my eyes to heaven, and my reason returned to me, and I blessed the Most High, and praised and honored him who lives forever. And verse 37, I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven, for all his works are right, and his ways are just, and those who walk in pride he is able to humble. In chapter 5, the king of Babylon is now Belshazzar. While he was drinking wine from vessels stolen from the temple in Jerusalem, he became terrified as a human hand appears and writes something on the wall. The Chaldean enchanters and astrologers could not decipher the writing, so Daniel was remembered and summoned, and he interprets the writing, verses 25 through 27. And this is the writing that was inscribed. This is the interpretation of the matter. God has numbered the days of your kingdom and brought it to an end. You have been weighed in the balances and found wanting. Your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. Then Belshazzar gave the command, and Daniel was clothed with purple. A chain of gold was put around his neck, and a proclamation was made about him that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. That very night, Belshazzar, the Chaldean king, was killed, and Darius the Mede received the kingdom, being about 62 years old. Chapter 6 captures the historical account of Daniel in the lion's den. My 5-year-old granddaughter loves to reenact this story. She always wants to be the lion and wants her granddaddy to be Daniel. When I have time to play along, she always wants me to be one of the malicious men that she gets to devour at the end of the story. I don't have time for all the details of this story, so make sure you read this chapter. But here are a few highlights. King Darius favored Daniel, which made the other leaders plot to change this. Chapter 6, verses 3 through 5. Daniel became distinguished above all the other high officials because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king planned to set him over the whole kingdom. Then the high officials sought to find a ground for complaint against Daniel with regard to the kingdom, but they could find no ground for complaint or fault because he was faithful and no error or fault was found in him. Then these men said, we shall not find any ground for complaint against this Daniel unless we find it in connection with the law of his God. These jealous men coerced King Darius into signing a decree they knew Daniel would break, as they knew if Daniel had a choice between obeying God or man, he would choose God. As a result, Daniel was sentenced to be thrown into the lion's den. Darius was sad when he realized these men had tricked him into entrapping Daniel, and says in verse 21 to Daniel, "May your God, whom you serve continually, deliver you." Verse 19 through 24 shows the character of our faithful and all powerful God. At the break of day, the king arose and went in haste to the den of lions. As he came near to the den where Daniel was, he cried out in a tone of anguish. The king declared to Daniel, "O Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to deliver you from the lions?" Daniel said to the king, "O king, live forever. My God sent his angel and shut the lion's mouth, and they have not harmed me, because I was found blameless before him, and also before you. O king, I have done no harm." Then the king was exceedingly glad and commanded that Daniel be taken up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no kind of harm was found on him, because he had trusted in his God. And the king commanded, and those men who had maliciously accused Daniel were brought and cast into the den of lions, they, their children, and their wives. And before they reached the bottom of the den, the lions overpowered them and broke all their bones in pieces. And the king, Darius, makes a new decree. Verse 26, "I make a decree that in all my royal dominion, people are to tremble and fear before the God of Daniel, for he is the living God, enduring forever." This is the same God we serve today. You can trust him. Join tomorrow for Daniel 7 through 9. Have a blessed day.